Oh, hello there. Yes. Yes. One of those mornings. The morning after the events of the night before. Yes. When our glorious leaders have been seen to be doing something wrong and dislike intensely the spotlight that they're under. Speaking of which, there's been a report out by Amnesty International into the state of Israel and human rights there. They branded Israel an apartheid state, which has not gone down very well, should we say, amongst certain sections of the Jewish community, both here and internationally. The Board of Deputies, British Jews, have said effectively that it's lies and a smear and anti-Semitic. Okay, I'm not going to sort of linger on this point today. Basically, you come back to the central point that any criticism of Israel becomes inherently anti-Semitic. The problem, of course, is that part of it is saying, well, Amnesty is singling out the state of Israel in applying standards to Israel that it wouldn't to other countries, which I think, given the history of Amnesty International, is a bit of a stretch, shall we say. It's regularly criticised the British government and other governments around the world that are autocratic, despotic or otherwise. Perhaps they shouldn't have used the word apartheid, perhaps, but let's face it, if you live in a state where different individuals have different citizenship status, apartheid is a fairly good word to use. Don't forget, of course, there's a Human Rights Watch previous report that came out about 6 months ago, and that said very much the same thing. And again, that was lies and anti-Semitic. But you do have to reach the point at which you have to say, well, okay, how many of these reports need to come out? Has every single human rights organisation in the world been taken over by progressives funded by evil people, which in itself is a bit of a trope, but there we go, who are determined to destroy Israel by using the wrong words? And there are definitely sections, I'll include a link below to a particular article, who do believe this. They do honestly believe that there is this group of people that will simply want to see Israel destroyed, and the way that they're going to do it is by using words like apartheid. Again, I'm not convinced. We need to have a discussion about any state, no matter where it is, no matter what it does, and what it may or may not be doing, positively or otherwise. And that does include the British state. We are in a state at the moment with our current Prime Minister, who seems to be acting in a very autocratic way. Can you imagine if the Conservative Party comes out and demands that the newspapers and all other media basically stop what they're doing because joining the dots is in some way racist or otherwise to say that our Prime Minister's doing something wrong? We would find that beyond contempt and laughable. And yet, that's what Israel does. Israel simply demands that any criticism whatsoever of the Israeli state and Israeli actions is shut down, because inherently, if you like, they can't seem to deal with any form of criticism. And a modern, mature democracy, like Israel wants to say that it is, should be able to deal with that very, very easily. It seems to struggle. And unfortunately for the state of Israel, the more it struggles, the more it appears to look very, very, very autocratic. Yeah, you can't be friends with various despotic regimes around the world and complain loudly when people point this out. For example, Orban. Look at Turkey and other states in the Middle East that Israel seems to have very cosy relationships with. If you want to be a beacon of democracy and light, be a beacon of democracy and light. But don't try and shut down debates by screaming racist when people come out with something that's factual. Anyway, there we go. I presume that's anti-Semitic enough for this morning. We'll wait and see. See if you think, whatever you think. Please leave a comment below if you think I'm being awful or unkind or wrong or lying, or that I'm somehow accepting George Soros money by saying this. Please do. You will be wrong on many of those counts, I think. Anyway, have a lovely day.